Okay, you'll all be familiar with the tragic deaths of 4 Defence Force personnel in a training accident a couple of weeks ago. The MRH-90 helicopter they were travelling in crashed into the ocean near Hamilton Island. All men on that flight were members of the 6th Aviation Regiment. And of course, as you would expect, there was a national outpouring of grief and there was blanket news coverage. Our thoughts and our prayers were and still are with the souls and the families of these men. But when the news cycle moves on, the legacy of loss remains, and particularly for the families of those who have been taken too soon. The official channels, they do what they can, but often that's simply not enough. And it's where outfits like the Commando Welfare Trust steps in. You see, the trauma of losing a loved one or living with a debilitating injury creates daily challenges which can last a lifetime. This is from their website. And yet, despite the many funding, grant or entitlement options available, these Australians often fall through the cracks. We provide support where the existing services are available are unable to. So the Commando Welfare Trust are now helping the families of these 4 brave men and are raising funds for that support. It's been kickstarted with a significant 7-figure donation from Australia's most successful businessperson, Gina Rinehart. Now, I mention that not because this quiet and quite amazing philanthropist wants recognition, but because she wants her donation to prompt others to give what they can to ensure these men's families can keep a roof over their heads, keep their kids in school, and they can grieve without the worry of ongoing financial difficulties. As I just said, Gina Rinehart is a quiet and a quite amazing philanthropist. She gives to do good rather than to get attention and accolades. And frankly, I wish there were many more like her. Well, one man whom I'm sure shares that sentiment is the chairman of the Commando Welfare Trust. It's retired Brigadier Mark Smethurst, DSC and AM. Delighted to say he joins me now. Mark, thank you for joining me. I've tried to describe what the Commando Trust does, but can you explain why your organisation is actually necessary?
Yeah, thanks, Corey, and great to be here tonight. Since 2002, Special Operations Command Australia has taken 50% of casualties in training and operations, so it's a significant burden for what is 2% of the ADF. The SAS is looked after by the SAS Resources Fund, and the rest of Special Operations Command is looked after by the Commando Welfare Trust. So since its inception, we've looked after 127 recipients of soldiers who have been wounded or killed in operations and training. And we are the fallback position when they can't be supported by the broader system to help those families in their darkest day.
Now, I know many viewers will be questioning why doesn't the official organs of the state assist more than they can, but there are always limits and constraints to this. But a donation of the size that Mrs. Rinehart has clearly made is obviously a welcome rarity. What will you be able to do with it, and what difference will it make to the families of these men?
Well, what Mrs. Rinehart and Hancock Prospecting has done is significant in its own right. They'll be able to help us with immediate support to the families, particularly as they get over their grieving, which they're still very much in the process of doing. But it's going to allow them to help the wives, the partners, the 5 children get on their feet, and specifically with education and support in areas of getting them into the right sort of housing and really giving them something bright to look at in the future. It's a terrible time that they're going through, and all of these kids are very young. None of them are in high school yet, and we will be supporting them until they get into the university years or college years.
A wonderful thing to do. I have to say, I was looking through your website in preparation for this story, and I was drawn to the in memoriam page. It highlighted to me just how dangerous the work of our elite soldiers is. Now, you're one of those elite soldiers. Does the danger become a daily consideration, or is it something that you're just trained to accept and you expect families to accept from the men who are, or the women who are filling these positions?
Well, it is dangerous what they do, but their training is exceptional. So right from their selection to their reinforcement training to what they do day to day to maintain their skills, it is highly dangerous, but it does become routine in a way because they are trained to the highest level possible in the ADF. So that doesn't make it any easier when they go off to operations or complex exercises, because the families always do worry. So we like to think that in the back of their mind, they will know that they will be looked after, whether if something goes wrong for them or indeed their families.
Yeah, they're remarkable people. I know some in the Commando group, I know some in the SAS group. They are a cut above and they do things that most of us simply wouldn't be capable of. So more strength to your arm. Tell me, Mark, how can people donate or actually get involved in the Commando Welfare Trust?
Yeah, thanks, Corey. The key is just go on the website, read the stories, have a look at what we're doing. It's very easy to donate. The kickstart from Mrs. Gina Reinhardt has been fantastic, and she's really set an example. But this support's going to have to go for a lifetime for some of these people. So all help any help that can be provided would be fantastic. So look on the website, you'll see the stories, and that would be much appreciated for the community of Australia to really get behind this support of these 4 aircrew that were lost so tragically 2 weeks ago.
That's exactly right. I know there are a lot of very wealthy people who tune into this show every week because they like the common sense and the truth being spoken. Get out your checkbooks, people. That's old-fashioned language. Chip in and match, or do your bit to everything we can for these families and, unfortunately, for those who are also going to be following in their wake, because we've got extraordinary servicemen and women. Mark Smethurst, thank you for your time tonight.